Shalom, shalom, Israel. Happy Sabbath. Most High Christ bless you all. Okay, so today we got a hot topic, all right? It's called, this is mostly for the single mothers, single sisters, all right? You single brothers too, you need to take notes because it's going to help you along your way when you do decide to get married, okay? This is mostly aimed for the single mothers. Title of the class is called When Mothering Becomes Smothering. All right, yeah. Oh,
what's that title called again?
It's called When Mothering Becomes Smothering. All right, because sisters, we're going to go into it, we're going to get into it. All right, so this is more of a guide to help you down your path. If the Most High allows it for you to be joined into a righteous man, a godly man, that you have the tools to prove that godly man, so you can take them in. Because we know what we've been observing. This is a conversation me and Officer Abadan had weeks ago, and we noticed things like that been coming happening. But we've seen mothers who carry attributes where they take on the relationship between a child. That relationship begins to be toxic. It becomes so toxic where now a man is no longer needed in the relationship. So that's right. I got my son, I got my child, no need for a man.
Right, your son becomes your husband.
There you go. And that's very dangerous. And we're going to go over scriptures, we're going to watch some videos to help guide you along, to build you up eventually, because we love our people, and that's one thing. We about rebuilding our people, rebuilding the nation, rebuilding your minds, okay? So let's start off, 2 Timothy 3:16. Go ahead.
And before you put a scripture, I will say this, why this is so important. And when you told us you was going to go over this topic, we couldn't wait for the Sabbath to come, because we live in a day and age where Officer Abaddon went over first class,
right,
of where sodomy is becoming normalized in the nation, right? It's everywhere they turn. So if they are smothered by a mother to the point where they begin to take on her attributes,
right, there you go.
Oh, to make it so much easier for them to be like, oh, I was always this way.
There
you know why?
go.
Because you've been smothered since you was young.
Right on.
So that's
right
why
on.
this is a good topic we're going over.
All right, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. You're going to read down to 17.
2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 16. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine.
All right, so all scripture that is given by God, right, is there to inspire you to kill the old you, to inspire you to kill the old man, that old woman, because that old man, that old woman cannot serve God. I'm going to tell you straight. If you come into this and you truly desire to repent, you do truly desire to change, then you must decide to kill that old you. You got to. It won't work. God cannot use you. You will not be prosperous if you still holding on to your old habits. All right? So come on, go ahead. Give me Deuteronomy now. No, read it again. Read it again.
All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness.
In righteousness. Come on.
That the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
So you have to, because you preparing yourself to survive the coming fire. There's destruction coming. In order for you to be prepared to survive that fire, to survive that nuclear destruction, you have to kill the old man. I'm sorry, that's what's going to happen. And we even have apologetics now who say the instruction or the inspiration of God is only from Genesis to Malachi. Yeah. You hear that? So that's exactly what's being pushed on the earth now. Where they're telling you, no, all that instruction that Christ talked about, it was from Genesis to Malachi. So what we read in here, right here in this very verse, jump up to verse 1, real quick. We're going to get some more. He said that.
2 Timothy chapter 3.
Genesis to Malachi. Watch this, right here in this very chapter. Jump up to verse 1.
Verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves.
So, single moms, single sisters, you should be writing this down, because this is some instructions to inspire you to avoid these men. Certain men, watch, is going to give you the attributes of these men to avoid. Watch, read.
Covetous.
So, stop. So it will be covetous men. Covetous men, read.
boasters,
Come on.
proud,
Proud men, come on.
blasphemers, disobedient to parents,
Come on.
unthankful, unholy,
Unholy, come on.
without natural affection, truce breakers,
Liars. Come on.
false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure,
Lovers of pleasure, those whoremongers. That falls in the category of whoremongers. Come on, read on.
lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God,
Read.
having a form of godliness,
Listen good. Pay attention now. Read.
but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
Watch. Run away from. Come on.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women.
Lead captive who?
Silly women.
Lead captive who?
Silly women.
So this is a warning for our sisters. You get instructions. You getting warnings to avoid these type of men.
I'm glad you just brought this out. You know, this is because we get a lot of questions. Single sisters, here's your proven checklist. you ain't even got to come to the captains no more all the time. You're like, okay, let me see what 2 Timothy 3. Is he love of it? Is he covetous? Oh, he talk about his money on the phone?
There you go.
Does he boast that he's this ranking, that he passed out this, that, and the other? Is he unthankful? How does he deal with his parents that ain't even in the truth? There's your checklist right there. Boom.
Boom.
All praises.
Read that
there.
down.
Checklist for proving.
Read that part again.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins.
And those same men have been successful. We have the evidence. We have the counsels. Well, we've seen women that have not followed the guidelines of God, have been inspired, have not mortified their members, have not killed the old them. They didn't do it. They tried to hide it, and next thing you know, they was led away by a nigga. Led away. And in the same time, they destroyed their family. Right? So it says, led captive silly women laden with sin. Laden with sin. Key point there. Key point. Laden with sin. Right? Led away with diverse lusts. Meaning they never mortified their members. They never diminished their sin. They kept enticing their sin. They kept meddling with their sin. Right? All right. So from there, let's go. Let's get some history now. Deuteronomy 25:56. Captains, officers, let's go. Let's get it.
Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse
56.
Deuteronomy chapter 25 verse
28 and 56.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 56.
Here we go.
Thy tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom.
And who else?
And toward her son, and toward her daughter.
So she would be known to be having an evil eye towards her children. Not only their children, but towards her husband, right? Read on. We're going to find out what that truly means. Come on.
And toward her young one.
Come on.
That cometh out from between her feet.
Her infant child.
And toward her children, which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things, secretly in the siege and straitness.
So, because of our sins, we are here reminded where the mothers would be cursed, right? To the point they were forced to eat their children, right? We're going to get a history lesson. Let's go to 2 Kings 6:24. 2 Kings 6 verse 24. We're going to read where that happened.
2 Kings.
Hold on, let me get there with you.
Second Kings,
Go ahead.
chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass after this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts, and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria.
Because who was in Samaria? Who was in Samaria? I need a brother to answer that question. Who was in Samaria? Let me see. Because we just went over a map.
Northern Kingdom.
Northern Kingdom. Anybody have a scripture? You have a scripture to prove that? Anybody else? Let's get it. Isaiah 7 and 9, real quick. To prove who was in Samaria. It said northern kingdom.
Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 9.
Come on.
And the head of Ephraim is Samaria.
So who was in Samaria? Ephraim. Okay. Read on.
And the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son.
That was the king at the time. Okay, now back. 2 Kings 6:24.
2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass after this, that Benadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts, and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria. And behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the 4th part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver.
Because there was a famine in the land. So that's what happens every time another kingdom came to infiltrate another kingdom. What would happen is they would siege. They would set up a siege where they would cut off all the food supply. No trading, nothing was going on with that city until they would go in, and the men were weak enough for them. They couldn't even fight. So read on.
And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me,
Listen good.
Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son, and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son.
You see that? So now we're reading about where Deuteronomy 28 actually coming to fruition. It came to pass, right? You got something?
Yeah, Ken. Because when we read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it says that she would have an evil eye towards her own children, right? Mm-hmm. She hid her son,
That's the point.
letting you know
There
that
you
these
go.
children were alive. When they compromised this, that first child was alive. That second one was alive as well. That's how much hatred they had for their children, that they had to kill this child and didn't cook him.
Right.
You have to think about this. They didn't let these children die. They were starving. And they knew their kids were going to be the one first to go. So they, hey, let me end it off quicker so that way I could keep myself alive.
Right, because when you read through it, it said they started off with ass's head, right? And then they said turtle dove dung, right? How many people know what dung is? Doodoo. Dung doodoo. So they was paying for that because it was such a famine in the land. To the point where they went to what? To the point they went to eating their own kids. So the Most High ain't nothing to play with. He said it was going to happen because of your disobedience. So exactly what happened, right? So from there, we done with that? That was Northern Kingdom. Now let's see. Judah didn't slide this either. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 19 and 4. Come on, they said everyone was going to be under these curses. Let's go. So everyone was under these curses. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 19, verse 4.
Jeremiah chapter 19 and verse 4.
Hold on one second. Let me get there, Richard. Yeah, it does.
Jeremiah chapter 19 and verse 4. Because they have forgotten me.
Because they what?
Have forgotten me.
Because they what?
That's it.
Forsaken me. And have estranged this place.
Uh-huh.
And have burned incense in it unto other gods.
Come on.
Whom neither they nor their fathers have known.
Come on.
Nor the kings of Judah. And have filled this place with the blood of innocence.
They did what?
Filled this place with the blood of innocence.
So they killed innocent blood. Well, let's see what it was. Read.
They have built also the high places of Baal.
Come on.
To burn their sons with
do
fire.
what?
To burn their sons with fire.
We call that modern day abortion. That's modern day. That's right there. That's exactly what they were doing. Read on.
For burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind.
So God was never about no sacrificing babies. He was never about that. But somehow it got into the minds of these Judite sisters to do that. Now jump to verse 9.
Verse 9. And I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons.
What else did they do?
I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons.
See that? You see, when we go away from the commandments of God, our heritage, this is exactly what we were caught up in. This is exactly what we were caught up in. Read on.
And the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness wherewith their enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straiten them.
That means there'll be easy pickings to those nations that came and oppressed us, put us in slavery. So back to Deuteronomy 28:56. All right, so this is just a quick lesson, a quick history lesson that you need to make sure you write down, that you know, listen, these curses are real. And to this day, we can still see them upon us. Come on.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward her husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet.
Now stop. Play that video. Play that first video. I numbered it. There we go. Play that one, then after that, play the second one right behind it. Play that.
Scroll up, man, the title. Let's see the title.
Scroll up. Let us see the title. Northern Kingdom.
Tell him read it.
Read that title.
Woman slashes her children's throats to quiet them.
To do what?
To quiet them, police say.
Play.
Along 10th Court Southeast in Olympia, residents desperately trying to understand how their beloved neighbor, a mother of 3, could be accused of trying to kill her 3 children.
She is a lovely woman, and it seems like this was a cry for help, and I hope she gets the help that she needs.
29-year-old Christina Booth made her first appearance in court through a video stream today.
Ma'am, are you Christina Eva Booth?
Yes, sir.
Documents say Booth and her husband had been drinking Saturday night when the mother took a kitchen knife and cut the throat of all 3 of her children, a 2-year-old toddler and 2 6-month-old twins. The mother, who was uncontrollably crying, called 911, saying her children were bleeding. Her husband then got on the phone with the dispatcher.
What's going on with the babies?
They're bleeding right now. We need an ambulance immediately.
Court documents say the husband, a soldier based at JBLM, told police Christina had been stressed raising the children and had also been taking medication for postpartum depression.
It's clear enough to say that stress is a factor in this whole thing. I mean, I've been asked several times what would cause a person to do that, and I think we can all look at that and figure out it's not something that just happens by chance. I mean, there's something that pushed her to a breaking point.
Olympia police at this point don't believe the father had any involvement in the alleged.
Come on, spacebar. It's not something that happens by chance. It's not something they wake up and decide to do. This happens through times, through stress. Okay, he called it out. Postpartum, depression syndrome. All right, so it happens. That's something we need to be, but the Bible calls it what? Curses. All right, next video. So that was Northern Kingdom. Let's get Southern Kingdom up there. Here we go. This recently happened in the Bronx.
Police, Bronx mother stabbed 2 young children with razor, left them in the street.
Play the video.
Good morning, Betty. Each detail just keeps getting worse, but we can tell you this morning the kids are doing okay in the hospital after they were slashed right across their throats, allegedly by their own mother, and left here at this intersection right at this construction site. Fortunately, though, Good Samaritan saw what was happening and called police. Both of the kids, a 6-year-old boy and his 2-year-old sister, were found abandoned at the intersection of Washington and Brook Avenues here in the Bronx. Someone saw them bleeding alone and flagged down police officers around 8 Saturday night. At the same time, their mom, Shanice Martin, walked into the 4-2 police precinct about about 4 minutes away from here and surrendered to cops. She was bloodied and carrying a razor blade, according to police, and allegedly admitted to attacking her own children. Meanwhile, those defenseless kids were being rushed to the hospital. That's where doctors worked this weekend to close their numerous wounds, both right now in stable condition. The Bronx woman has been admitted and is undergoing a psychiatric evaluation. She has been charged with this unthinkable crime. However, the big question this morning is what drove her to do this? Those children, again, are expected to be okay. They're recovering at a Manhattan Children's Hospital still at this hour. Reporting live here in the Bronx, I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Pix 11 News.
So you see, read that curse again. Read it again.
Deuteronomy chapter 28.
So these curses are real.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 56. And the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things.
Right, so right here in our enemy's land, we still see those curses are still on our back. The only way we're going to be able to break these curses is how? It's through coming back to who you are, coming back to the obedience of the Most High God. If not, it's going to keep happening. Because the first video happened in 2015.
Yeah.
Then you fast forward now, 2019, it's still going on. And these are just little one cases. There's hundreds of cases with the same abuse.
Hey, go to Lamentations 4 and 3. Because, read Deuteronomy. You got it next?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead, pull it in.
Okay, Lamentations 4 and 3.
Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast.
Pay attention now. Come on.
They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches.
You see
in the
that?
wilderness.
It says the great whales that's in the ocean, they know better than us. The prophet Isaiah said the same thing. Go to Isaiah real quick, because he said the same thing. Isaiah 1. This is not the first time a prophet compares Israel's nature to animals. 1 and 3.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people do not consider.
Right, because they don't even consider that they are God's chosen people. Don't even consider how important and how valuable they are to the Most High. So what they do, they said, even the ass knows his master. They know their source. They know their power. But Israel still walking around in darkness, don't know. Read our Lamentations 4 and 3 again.
Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 3.
Come on.
Even the sea monsters draw out the breast.
Even those sea monsters, animals, where God had placed man above all animals, right? Read on. It says they know better. They know what to do. Come on.
They give suck to the young ones.
They know when to nurture their child.
The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness.
But not the daughters of Israel. He said they are cruel.
Hey, that going into cruel is what we just saw right there.
There you go.
You know, slashing the 6-year-old from
ear to ear.
Ear.
That's a violent act.
And then put them on the corner.
There you go.
That's cruel, man. And it goes into it right here. It says like the ostriches in the wilderness, comparing with animals again, right? One of the attributes of an ostrich in the wilderness, they forget where they lay their eggs. And they will literally stomp the eggs and kill them. Because they laid them and forgot where they at and walking around without a care in the world, like everything's all right, and actually crush the eggs.
Exactly.
So God's comparing it to that.
Here's the proof, what you just said, Cap. Job 39 and 13.
Job chapter 39 verse 13. Gavest thou the godly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich?
Read on.
Which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in the dust.
Watch this.
And forgetteth.
It does what?
And forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them.
So it says the ostrich will bury her eggs and forget where she buries them at, and end up killing them. Read on. Watch this.
She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers.
It says the ostrich will be hard against her kids, like they not even hers. It's been times where you look at, in the world, you look at sisters bearing kids, you like, those your kids? I can't even tell. Right, they dirty foot, don't got no shoes on, they brush their teeth in months.
And she looking like nails done, hair done, everything did, but her kids look like ragamuffin.
Right. Read on.
Her labor is in vain without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom.
It says God deprived the ushers of wisdom, but then the limitation is comparing our sisters, our mothers, to ostriches.
And the hardening of the heart part, right? You might think, oh, maybe it's just these two scenarios where they kill their children or acts of violence towards the children. Oh, when they harden the heart, that's also going into where the mothers just don't care, and they let their children roam the streets. No father in the house, that child is roaming the streets, joining gangs, involved in you know what. And the mother fully well know, yeah, I know my child is a part of so-and-so gang. She begins to rep the gang, to the point where she's repping the gang now.
Another way, too, of hardening the heart against the young ones, too, is you see your kid, your young boy, your young daughter, whatever it might be, got tendencies that are not according to the way God made them. And what you would do is you would turn a blind eye to it.
Or when somebody says something to you about it, you get offended.
Get defensive about it. Yeah, that's hard in your heart, because you know they shouldn't be like it, but instead of letting people correct it or bring the information to you correct it, you get defensive about it. You truly, at the end of the day, you hate them. You hate them because you know that's going to ultimately lead to death. Yeah.
All right, from there, let's get Isaiah 3 and 12. Isaiah 3 and 12. Get the other video lined up.
And the reason why I say that too, because you can look out into the world and you can see all these news articles. We support him, Pride Month, and all. Don't like Gabrielle Union.
No, I didn't have that.
Okay, but it's an article. Gabrielle Union say, stay away from me with all of that phobia stuff. We support our child in pride. That boy's like 10 years old, 11 years old.
Yeah, they took him to the Pride March.
In Miami.
Right, yeah. It was like a marathon. Shoot, you have Marlon Wayans, another one. Marlon Wayans, his daughter, she's been living that. She's 19 years old, I think, and she's living that lifestyle. So in the comments, when you read down in the comments on the article, you see him going back and forth, defending his daughter living that lifestyle. And one of the persons in the comments said to Marlon, I guess you could forget about having grandkids. Hang it up. His response was, we got enough money to create grandkids. You see that? You see that? Read that. Isaiah 3 and 12.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors.
It says, the Bible says children will be the ones to oppress us. Read.
And women rule over them.
Come on.
O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err.
So those women are the ones leading those children that oppress us, that rob us, that create baby mama drama. All right? Those are the ones that God is warning us what will happen when they are led by women. And when you look at the statistics, it is from single mothers. Single mothers, that's where these brothers, these sisters that's living that lifestyle coming from. That's where they stem from. All right, so now this class is not to destroy you, but to build you up. You guys understand? Okay, from there, give me Ezekiel 16:44. Play my second video. Third video. Play that third video. Now this is Phil. Everybody know Phil. Doctor Phil.
An overprotected mom.
And you said yes. Pause it. Come on now.
An overprotective mom faces the truth.
I just talked about the why lie. And you said, yes, that is what defines me. And so that means, if you accept my definition, that your life is based on a lie. Because you say that as a mother, you are protecting your children so it doesn't happen to them the way it happened to you.
That's right.
Then what is the truth?
Right.
This is the truth that you fail to see. I have been emotionally wounded. in fact, crippled by my early life experiences from which I never healed. The pain and neurotic anxiety drives me to live vicariously through my children. I somehow believe that if I can keep them safe and protected, the scared little girl that still resides within me will at last feel safe and protected.
You got it, Dr. Phil.
Because no one ever talked to her. No one ever healed her. No one ever believed her. No one ever ministered to her. And so she was frozen in time. I am putting my emotional needs ahead of my children's developmental needs, and while at some level I know this, I just can't stop. Because I am addicted to the reassurance that over-control affords me.
Absolutely.
And I put the last lines in all caps. And I want you to read those for me.
All of this overprotectiveness is more about me and my pain than it is about them and their risk levels. I'm so sorry.
That's it. That's it. So I want you to see that. Now, this is the flip side. We deal with our sisters that's in the world, but what about the parents that's overprotective, the mothers that's overprotective, overbearing of their children? Do you know the consequences of doing that? Because just like what you just saw there, by you being so overprotective, by you constantly putting that pain, you're transferring that pain that you once grew up with, and you're transferring it over to your children. Okay? Now, I keep bringing it up, but the politics said there's no such thing as, generational curses. There is. The way you was raised by your family, who was not governed by the law, and you grow up and now have a pain, whether you was touched, whether you was violated, whether it was a ill relationship, verbally abused, you then grow up and you transfer that same hurt and pain over to your children just by the way you carry yourself amongst that child. No, don't go over there. You think you're doing them a service, but you're doing them the opposite. A disservice. Especially, we've seen that with young men. When young men take on the attributes of their mothers, they grow up and they are broken men. Give me that real quick. Ezekiel 16:44. That's what I want.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 44. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loadeth her husband and her children.
That does what?
Loadeth her husband and her children.
So is this talking about a righteous mother? What is this talking about? This is not talking about a righteous mother, because we know a righteous mother wouldn't loathe her husband or run him off to the point where y'all separated, y'all not together. We know that. Now these mothers that's becoming smothering or having these toxic relationships with their children, that have to the point chased away the man, or to the point where they even can't keep a man. And when I say man, I mean husband. Okay? Read it again.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 44. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
And I'm going to pull this scripture because this is why self-evaluation is so important for you women first, and you brothers also too, when it comes to talking about dealing with children, because you deal with them more than the man does, and to a certain level. Because whatever spirit that is on you, you will project it to your child.
Yes.
And a lot of you all in here growing up, you have said one time or another, being grown right now, dang, I'm acting just like my mom. And this is you in the truth. And you say, I'm acting like my mama. Oh, I remember my mama used to do the same exact thing. And it's not the righteous part. Not nothing you can consider righteous. It's something that, dang, I'm just like my mama right now. So that means you got to evaluate yourself before you have kids, or if you got kids, that the way you grown up, that old man's completely gone, and you working on being that perfect, that Proverbs 31 woman, right? That Titus 2 man where you brave and you serious, for you won't project your own insecurities onto your son or your daughter, and then they grow up just like you. And now, okay, there goes a generational curse.
Right.
Your mama was a drunk, your great-grandma was a drunk, your great-great-grandma was a drunk too, because all of y'all been drinking down the line. And now they act the same exact way that you do. That's why you got to evaluate yourself every single day, especially in marriages.
Right. And we're going to give you some tools today, sisters. We're going to give it to you. We're going to give you some tips on how to get prepared. All right? Read that.
Verse 45. Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loadeth her husband and her children. And thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loadeth their husbands and their children. Your mother was an Hittite, and your father was an Amorite.
Right, you see how the Most High compared the daughter of Israel to heathens. Saying you can't be the daughter of Sarah. You're not acting no way near Sarah. Look at you. You acting like a Hittite and an Amorite, a heathen. Because it was nowhere found in our sisters. When we dissect the scriptures and read Judith, we read how she carried herself, how she spoke to the elders. Nowhere near that. All right, so guess what? Our enemies even know this. Who got the Willie Lynch? Give me the Willie Lynch real quick. Can we pull that up? Who got the Willie Lynch? You know?
Yeah, it's in the...
Somebody pull a Willie Lynch book for me. Because our enemies, they use the same tool against us. That's why when we read in a Willie Lynch, we read where he would systematically pin the woman against the man, to the point where now the woman don't have no respect towards the men. And it's been passed down from generation. It's been taught by mothers teaching their daughters the same behavior. All right? And it said, even in the book, when we're about to pull it, it says if they continue in this same system, carry this system, teach this system, it will go on for about 1,000 years until something miraculously, there we go, get that page I want.
Hey, I will say this too about when it comes to women raising their daughters, or you got sons, or whatever situation it might be.
We got it.
I know we might have grown up jacked up, right? We might have grown jacked up, but as a woman with daughters, right? You raise them. You need to try your best every single day to project a Proverbs 31:1.
That's right.
Because in the eyes of God, that is his ideal woman. When he created you, that's all these attributes right there in them 20, 30 something verses. He said, this is how a daughter of Sarah is supposed to be. So your actions have to equal up to that. And yeah, it's a lot of work. Yep, it is. It's a lot of work raising kids. Yep, right. You just can't say, you know what, I'm going to just do me, whatever, because you let yourself go, and kids going to pick up on it.
They will. They are sponges.
They see. They understand what they see more than what they hear. So if they see that over a period of time, that will become them. And then it gets to the point to where now you can't control it. Now you're just waiting on them to get up out the house. Right. Waiting on them to turn 18 so you can put them out. Give them some money so they can go on about their way. You gotta focus on that every day, every single day.
You got that?
Yes, I posted.
Blow it up for us.
The Negro Marriage Unit.
This is the main weapon they used against
zoom in some more.
Our nation right here.
The Negro Marriage Unit. We breed 2 nigger males with 2 nigger females. Then we take the nigger males from them and keep them moving and working. Say the one nigger female bear a nigger female, and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without the influence of the nigger image, frozen with an independent psychology will raise their offspring into reverse positions.
You see that?
There you go.
We just read that in Isaiah. We read that. Read.
The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable.
And what?
Negotiable.
Independent, not relying on a man, but on herself, her own force. Read.
We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind.
Right. Basically, just turned him into a female.
Yeah. And this you see this? Who's the dude? Jesse Lee Peterson, right?
Yes.
He was a dude that called in, and it was an Edomite, but he hit it right on the head. He said thugs are effeminate, and he pulled out all the attributes to show how thugs are truly effeminate. They just like they mama. They are physically strong, intimidating, look the look, but they are mentally weak. They are over emotional. Soon as something happens to them, they're emotional. They don't stop until they get revenge, which is ended up killing somebody, and all they clothes match.
With their shoes.
With their shoes. The hat got to match the shirt got to match the shoes, the jeans got to match the hat. That's women qualities. And that's how we have become as men in society. If it wasn't for the Lord, we're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. If it wasn't for the Lord, we'd all be Sodom and Gomorrah, because all of us used to dress that way.
See that?
But Cap, you know, it's on the topic of smothering children. That process starts from when they're young men. How they are dressed, how do you overprotective of that young man. You make him emotional. You kind of make that young boy your little girl.
Yeah. And it's seen in other nations where they take the young boys and now dressing them up, right? They putting skirts on them and all that. But that's I pray that's never found
one
in
way
Israel.
that like this is where you reverse the roles is one way. Like, you know, the boys of age, right? And somebody hurts his feelings or he gets hurt and he runs to mama. We can understand, you know, little Asher running around here. He's 2 years old. He running to mama for comfort. Okay, he don't understand. This boy's 7 years old, 8 years old, and he scratched his knee. How many of us as young boys out here scratch their legs? Get some dirt, put some dirt on it to stop it, keep on moving.
Keep it moving.
We used to do that, right? But now you see where they'll get them scratches, they bust out crying, and the first thing they do is look for mama. Where's mama? They don't even go to daddy, they look for mama. Where's mama? And jump on them for some console. And what did the mama do? Oh, what's wrong, baby? What's wrong? Oh, lay your head on my lap. And they be sitting there. You be like, what's wrong with him? Oh, he's just going through it. You know, something wrong with him. I don't know. Tell him, go on, boy. Go play. Go be around the man. But the roles are reversed. Like you said, you making that little boy a little girl.
You see that? Another level of it is always, baby, always in your hands. Little boy can't fall. Little boy can't run. Little boy can't do nothing. Always picking him up, doing something.
Right. The boy been on your hip for so long, he became bow-legged now.
Go ahead.
Hey, this boy here, a year and a half and barely know how to walk. This boy's a year and a half. He almost 2 and don't know how to walk yet. Put him down.
Well, you see that is also in the Christian church. Women running the church and the men.
Absolutely.
The apologetics trying to bring that out now, like the men are soft and this, that, and the other. But women run the church and they're prevalent all through the church, and the men somewhere, I don't know, cleaning,
wearing the pink sweaters.
And the one way that we can tell, you know, off top up here, we see it very soft-spoken.
Yeah.
A lot of you brothers come in here too. You got the mic. What? Dude, speak up, man.
They talk louder without a mic.
Boy, and you can tell you was raised by your mom. And every time you got loud, boy, be quiet. And you learn, okay, let me whisper.
But Cap, that goes all the way back to
That goes back to that. That's what I'm referring to.
It goes all the way
that.
back to it. That's why even in society, you see the girls were raised to be the what is it, the valedictorians? What they call them? The ones that's supposed to be the smartest in the school. And the men are only raised to play football, basketball, sports athletes. It's the same thing. It's the same as that thing.
They punished by that.
You got the next video for me? So our enemies know the only way we could break that cycle is through the Word of God. Play that next video. Now, pay attention now. He used some big words in the beginning, but be patient. It's going to make some sense.
Jordan Peterson.
Right? Bear with me.
The overprotective mother, or how not to raise a child.
Come on.
Okay, so the question is the totalitarian forms that we've seen primarily.
Lectures. This is one of I think 10. This is one of. He got 2 just like that. But play it.
Okay, so the question is the totalitarian forms that we've seen primarily in the past have been male, but maybe we're seeing something different now. I really don't think it's different. I think it's of a common kind that's expanded in its dominion. So you imagine that there's an essential feminine pathology, just as there is an essential masculine pathology. And the essential feminine pathology Freud mapped out. It's the Oedipal mother. And the Oedipal mother is the mother that gets too close to her children, right? And intermingles herself with them to too great a degree that in her attempts to protect them undermines them fatally. And so there's a classic representation of the feminine in the West, and the classic representation is Mary. And here's one of the representations. It's lovely, and it's derived, at least in part, from the story of Mary and the snake in the Garden of Eden. And so Mary has her foot on a serpent, and she's holding Christ off to the side, like this. Well, that's exactly what mothers have always done. It's a biological portrait of human women, is they hold their infants out of the reach of the terrible serpentine predator. Obviously, that's what we do. Well, that's fine, but adults aren't infants.
You heard what he said?
And neither are children.
You heard what he said? Adults ain't infants. And that's what a lot of these mothers do. They still think they have that infant child at what? At the age of 7, age of 10. It's not an infant anymore. Go ahead, play it.
And if you treat them like they are, you undermine them. You
undermine them, meaning you do them a disservice. You make them weaker. He's going to go into it.
And that's prevalent between, I don't know how many of y'all, but like the 80s and the stuff in the 90s, you start seeing that. I've got grown uncles that still live with their mama. Right. They always go back home. They're 50 years old and they go back. I'll praise the Most High. Give me a little time that I went to college and I was on my own. And you know what? Hindsight 2020, I see how that happened because I started out at the University of Kentucky. I'm from Louisville. Kentucky is like an hour away. So it's like driving from here to Hialeah, right? I can go home at any time. I transferred, went to Youngstown State, 6 hours away. It wasn't no more mama coming up to wash my clothes. Mama used to bring me food every week when I was at Kentucky. So she was still enabling me to be that baby where I could never let my wings grow. I went 6 hours away. Guess what I learned how to do? I learned how to cook. I learned how to iron. I learned how to wash my own clothes. I learned how to make some money stretch. I learned how to go hungry for a few hours. I know how to do those. I learned how to do those, how to take care of myself. Because mother's just the natural instinct, especially for young black men, is to smother them, keep them away from that evil white man, right? But sometimes it goes overboard until they turn after they be 50 years old. Mama, can I come back home? Right. Yeah, baby, come on back home.
Right. And you know how far overboard some of these sisters go, especially Southern Kingdom, that the man referenced the snake and how they'll keep the child away. Now that boy, we know it's not too hard with the daughters, but when you have a son and the mother and father is not seeing eye to eye, what they do, they keep that child away from his father. And that's how they undermine him, because without that boy having that, his father in his life, he doesn't grow up to understand how to become a man.
But they say stuff like, you don't need your daddy. I can be your mama.
Wait, let the video go. He's going to say it. Play the video.
You pathologize them. You turn them into old infants. That's an ugly thing. And that's the Freudian nightmare. You know, and this happens in therapy very frequently. I mean, you can be tangled into a terrible relationship with your father. That's often either because he was absent, abusive, or tyrannical, something like that. But the standard pathology with mom is she did everything for you. Well, what's left for you to do? Nothing, including never leaving.
Never leaving.
Right.
Because remember, he just said the only issues with the fathers was they weren't there, right? They were they were probably abusive or tyrannical, meaning they ran everything over everything. They were the overlord. But he said mothers, they would do everything for that child. Do everything, where eventually the purpose of doing that so they would never leave. Watch this.
And that's the motivation, you know, for the woman who's nothing but protective mother. There's no role outside of nurturant of nurturer of infants. Well, you just keep them infants. They'll never leave. They might kill you one night in your sleep, but they'll never leave.
Can you connect that to what we're seeing in terms of identity?
Sure, sure. I mean, it's so comical watching the feminists, postmodernists in particular, rattle on about the absence of gender reality and act out the archetypal devouring mother at exactly the same time. For them, the world is divided into predators and infants. And the predators are evil and need to be stopped, and the infants need to be cared for. Well, that's what the mother does. But adults are not infants. And all you do is destroy them when you treat them that way, especially when they're adolescents and just starting to develop. You know, there's a rule that I attempted to abide by when I had small children, and the rule was, don't do anything for your children that they can do themselves. And that's annoying, that rule, because it takes you like 15 seconds to dress a 2-year-old, but if you let the 2-year-old dress himself, it's 15 minutes. 20 minutes.
I'm gonna share this with you. So, getting the kids ready and everything in the morning, I know it's tedious. So my wife would wake up in the morning, you know, she'll getting out of the bed early. She'll wake up before me, and she start to get the kids ready. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? You got a grown-ass daughter there. Teach her to dress the younger one, and that way you get yourself ready, get all the food ready, and then there you go. Well, we take more time with Josiah because there's so much pieces, prosthetics and everything. So I go in there, so I went in there and I taught Josiah how to get himself ready. You know, so you would do just a 2-minute act, you know, put on his jelly, get his socks together, lay out his shoes and everything. And afterwards, the rest is up to him. He's at the age to do that. So once I, you know, showed my wife how to do that, next thing you know, the mornings, sometimes it would get better. Okay, it would run smoother. Okay, so that's something we need to do, preparation.
Or 20 minutes, or half an hour, you chase them around the house. But if you let them learn to dress themselves, then you don't have to dress them anymore, and they can do it. And you do that with setting the table, and you do that with everything. It's like, no, it's okay, you do that now. Well, I care for you so much, let me do that for you. It's like, I don't care for you at all when I say that. I don't care for you at all. I'm going to stop doing everything I possibly can for you as rapidly as I possibly can. Say, well, that's great. That's how you work in an old age home. Do not do anything for the inhabitants that they can do themselves, because you rob them of the last vestiges of their independence, right? It's what you do when you're a manager. If you're a good manager, you make yourself superfluous by extending autonomy and independence to the people that you manage so that they can take over the whole job. You don't do that by doing everything for people. And you certainly don't do that by dividing the world archetypally and uncritically into predators, those who have more, and victims, infants, those who have nothing, and acting like all you can ever do is protect them. You don't protect, first of all, you can't protect people. You can only make them strong. That's it. You cannot protect them. You can make them strong, and then they can protect themselves. But then they don't need you.
It's heavy right there.
That's what it says.
So you cannot protect them. You can only make them strong.
Make them strong.
Because at the end of the day, their hands is in God's hands. Their life is in God's hands.
That's right. That's why the scripture says, walk them along the way. You take that time to build them up. You strengthen those children to the point where eventually they're on autopilot now. They know exactly what to do. It's now that opportunity you take is to build them up, get them ready for the world. Because it's a wicked world out there. The only defense we have is the Bible. That's it. All right. So, do I have another video? I think I should have one behind that. Play that other video. Play that other video. Yeah. Should have 2 more.
Hey, right? You're the spirit. Hold on. Regarding what the other dude just said, right? It said you can't protect them, you can only make them stronger. It is no way that a woman can make a man stronger. Especially when you got fathers, men in the body, in the truth, that are designed, that are built to make young men men.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, you know, like some of y'all single mothers, just let them young boys be around us. And we'll send them back to you right. And because, you know, a lot of times we get around, we'll see some of these kids, they be just talking all over the place. Like, dang, this dude talk a lot. I know who he hangs around a lot. There you go. Because when he's amongst us, he's just going to sit right there and he's going to listen to us talk.
And you know what? And you know what else that we see a lot of young men in here? A lot of young men, when they sit, they cross their legs.
Yeah.
We see that a lot. Yep. We see that a lot. Or when they put their hands on their hips, they put their hand behind it like a female.
Yeah.
And we say, yep, that boy ain't never around his mama.
He's around his mama,
too much.
Let him run up. Just tell him, hey boy, go on. Go be with the man. Go scram. Go be with the man and let him be around us. We'll get him together. We'll teach him how to be a man of God at the same time. Teach him how to be a man and a man of God to where he's grown up to be strong. Right? So when he gets of age and his wings spread, he goes out into the world on his own, he'll know how to handle himself. You know, one thing my father told me when I was going to Youngstown, I was at Kentucky. I was close, right? I never really left. I had visited for football. I went to Alabama and LSU and Tennessee and all the places to visit. And my daddy told me, he said, God is in Ohio too. And, you know, because I used to read my Bible. I thought I was righteous. You know, I didn't understand nothing. But hindsight's 20/20. My daddy said, God's in Ohio too. So that let me know that, okay, even if I do go out by myself, I'm going to be all right. And I didn't have no fear to you know, for like pop the breast out my mouth, and I went off on my own, and I had some, you know, fake righteousness in my mind. You know, when I was reading the Bible, I was wicked as hell. But I understood wherever I go, I can handle myself is basically what he was telling me. So he said, go out and be your own. A lot of times when you're a single mother or if you're a single father, you don't do that. You always want to keep them close, right? Like even with when it comes to college, right? We know that the world is wicked right now, so we think about keeping our kids close to home with them. You know, if they're gonna be wicked, they're gonna be wicked regardless. Whether they go to college down the street or they go to college down in Chicago, they're gonna find a way to be wicked. All right, so you got to build them up to be strong, so when they go out on their own, they can handle themselves. Right?
Exactly right. Got the next video? Let's see. Let's see what it is. I numbered them now. Separate one. Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, my people. So let's just get to the point. So, you know, I posted the article entitled Ways That Black Women Destroy Their Sons. And a lot of women want to get upset about that. But how can you? How can you read that article and not find any type of understanding about it? If you read that, I read that article. And I consider myself to be an excellent mother, and my sons will tell you the same. However, when I read that article, I felt convicted on some of the things that were said in there. And I looked at it and I analyzed it for exactly what it was, the truth. You understand what I'm saying? It's like black women just can't find reasoning in so many things. You can't find any type of understanding. Before you sat and read it and really sat there and thought about it, you objected to it because you felt some kind of way about it. I mean, if you are the ones raising sons and the father is gone and he ain't this and he ain't that, then why we got so many problems with our boys? We have problems with our boys because we have problems with these mothers. But you don't want to admit it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to acknowledge it. You don't want to read an article that can help us get better at doing what we do. Instead, you want to read it and be upset about it. You know, and I know some of you men are reading it and you feel like the article is telling you that you're not a man because your mother raised you. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is that you're at a disadvantage for sure if your mother raised you. I ain't never met a man who told me that his mother raised him and she raised him to be a man. I've met men that said that their mother raised him and he knows how to clean a house. I met a man that told me his mother raised him and he know how to cook. I know a man who said that his mother or grandmother or someone raised him and he knows how to treat women. But I've never met a man, me just personally, who said, you know what? I'm a man because my mother raised me to be a man. She can try. Because all she knows is what she knows. She knows what somebody showed her. She knows what someone told her. And she knows what someone experienced. How she experienced other men. She doesn't. And there's different types of men. So the only way that you can learn how to be a man is someone who understands you from the inside out. It's not an exterior thing. You understand what I'm saying? Being a man is something that's internalized. That's why you feel different. That's why men and women argue so much, because we think different. We feel different. Everything is organic. I don't care what you look like on the outside or how you change it. It's what's on the inside. So organically, you are a man, and there's just certain things that a woman can't do. And I don't understand why a black woman would read this article and not find some kind of understanding or be able to relate to it. I know plenty of y'all that's garbage mothers. Garbage. I know a chick, her son called her while she was out, and he's like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she's like, Mother effer, will go in there and find you something to eat. Hell, I'm out. She did a lot more cussing, but I'm just saying. Imagine that being your mom. And some of you don't have to imagine because you had that experience growing up as a child. You know, and I just, just for the life of me, I just can't understand why black women can't never look at themselves objectively enough to see that they are contributing to the problem that we have in society and with our sons. No one's saying that you're not a good mom. Some of you are. Some of you is trash. But what I'm saying is that even if you are a good mother, you wouldn't want to improve on that. You wouldn't want to read an article that could assist you and help you in doing even better as a mother. Because if you don't, then to me, that tells me exactly what type of woman you are. And that tells me what type of child you raised.
What she was going into to show you, even if you do, most of these things, you do some of these things, there's ways to get up out of it. That's what the core message is coming out of it. There are trash single mothers. All right, there's those who will forsake their children, not properly raise their children, but there is solutions out there. And are you the mother or you that single father to edify that child or make the situation better? Are you seeking out solutions to make it better? That's the core question. Or you just, okay, woe is me, woe is me. I'm going through this, I'm by myself. Are you doing that? Are you wallowing in your condition right now? Or are you trying to solve it? Are you trying to come up out of it? Because there's many solutions. Real quick, we're going to continue on that video, but Sirach 37:12, right? Because she made a key point. Captain already said it earlier. Said, you can't show no man, a young boy how to be a man. Only a man could do that. Sirach 37:12.
Sirach.
How to sit properly. Not to cry when a man is talking to you.
Right. Sirach, chapter 37, verse 12. But be continually with a godly man.
Come on.
Whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord.
Come on.
Whose mind is according to thy mind.
You see that? Whose mind is according to thy mind. Only a man can show a young boy how to be a man. He knows, wait a minute, you shouldn't be crying for this. Oh, I know, so-and-so knocked you upside the head, but this is how you deal with it. That's how most fathers deal with situations, or men deal with it. Well, mothers will go to the school and cut up, try to fight the other child. Fathers, what we do, we'll take that young child and show them how to do what? Fight. So they can do what? Eventually deal with the situation themselves. I know, I know, but that's how we deal with it.
Real talk.
We'll show, hey, listen, we won't go up into the school until it's at a cold red. Another father or another man is laying hands on my child. Then I'm going to show up. Brass knuckles and all. Right. But if it's another kid, all right, listen, you know, throw little jabs in there. Yeah. Lean, throw that jab, uppercut. Right. You know, bite them.
Hey, just like, Cap, it's just like you come home, the son say, Daddy, they bullying me.
Right.
The mama gonna go to the school and get on the parents,
Who was it?
get
Point
on the
him out.
teacher.
Brad, you got
They
a
want to
shirt.
talk to
Come
the
here.
principal.
Point him out. Who was it that was bullying you?
Right. They want to talk to the higher ups. As men, we just gonna come on. I'm
gonna show you.
I'm gonna teach you what to do the next time Billy bully you.
There you go.
And it won't be no more bullying.
It won't be. You're gonna have to fight. So that's the whole. Read that again.
Sirach chapter 37 verse 12. But be continually with a godly man.
Be continually, put forth your effort to be around godly men. Come on.
Whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord. Whose mind is according to thy mind.
Come on.
And will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
You see that? Even when a young man is going through something, it's better to go to another man and show, hey, listen, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Have you been through that? Yeah. All you got to do is, here you go. This is what you need to do. But that young man going to his mother, oh, mama, I don't know what to do. It hurts when I pee. Oh, man. Come on now. Mom know nothing about that. Come on now. Go to your dad. Okay, so there we go. That's what the scripture is going out. Finish playing that video.
You know, I knew a woman, her son was a convicted child molester. And she coddled him and catered to him so much that she got a babysitting job and would have him babysit the kids that she would watch sometime after she knew that he was convicted and spent time in jail for molesting children because he was her son. And she trusted that he was infallible, but he still had them tendencies and almost went to jail a second time for the same thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like you have to have some type of accountability. These things are happening. Your sons are touching your daughters. They're running around in these streets with guns. They're breaking into people's houses, pants sagging down. They're in school. They're being unruly and disrespecting their teachers. And what you do, you go down to the school and you check the teacher, even though your son is an unruly, probably one of them kids I want to snatch up by their collar when I was sitting in that classroom that some of y'all ain't never even been in. You understand what I'm saying? So stop pointing fingers at the daddy because some of you women ain't right. You ain't right. And you don't even want to pause for just like one moment to consider what you could do better as a woman because you think that somehow motherhood is synonymous with good. And it's not. It's not. Motherhood is work. And some of you not good at your job. So all I'm saying is take it to consideration that you just might be that mother that needs that extra little assistance. And the fact that you're ignoring it is going to create one of the men that you talk about that you can't stand meeting when he out in the streets. Because I know I done dated plenty of men who mothers wasn't in their lives in the proper way.
We're going to give our sisters the tools they need to be well-equipped, effective mothers. All right, so you don't become smothering. All right, that's what we all about. We all about building up our nation, giving you the solutions to your problems, right? So here we go. So give me 2 Corinthians 10 and 5. 2 Corinthians 10 and 5. Right?
2 Corinthians.
We know our single mothers, y'all got it bad. Y'all got it hard. Y'all got a lot of work to do. Okay? Y'all got a lot of work to do. Where men, they just zip it up, keep it moving. Where women have to be on guard of their children. They gotta watch what they eat, watch what they say, you know, who they around. They gotta be on guard of all that. Watch this.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God.
And that's what we do. We here to cast down any high thing, every thought that might be in your mind that goes against the Bible. When you begin to rely on yourself, when you rely on Oprah, hey, that's not going through, that doesn't understand our condition, understand our sorrows, then listen, you're in the world of hurt. Read.
And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
Come on.
And having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled.
You see that? So you have to be obedient. You have to be obedient. Titus 2. One of the greatest weapons the Most High gave our single mothers. Gave our sisters, period. Titus 2 and 3. I'm going to read down to 5.
Titus chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior.
Be in what?
In behavior.
Be in what?
in behavior.
Good behavior. Come on.
As becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given too much wine.
Right.
Teachers of good things.
You see that? Good behavior. Teaching good things. Because eventually what happens? Those same attributes, those same behaviors is being passed on to who? The child. Children. Your daughter. Your son. They seeing how mama rolls. Wait a minute. She's always on the phone gossiping. Yeah. Maybe it's okay. You even see little girls walking around with the phone in their hand. Pretend phones. They'll take the phone, walk around, mimicking their mother. Read.
That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children.
Stop. Even you single sisters, you shouldn't be caught talking evil towards men. I don't care if it was a brother you was with, your baby daddy, you shouldn't be caught talking evil towards him. Though he's out in the world, he's a Rolling Stone, he's linked up with Keisha, still, evil words shouldn't be coming out your mouth towards him. Okay, read.
To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home.
Right, keepers at home, that's very key. Because we have single mothers that would do that. They would dump off their children and then catch ghosts. They would be gone. All right, throwing it up, partying up. Read.
Good, obedient to their own husbands.
Come on.
That the word of God be not blasphemed.
So, you must be a good example. Sirach 9:5. Sirach 9:5.
Sirach chapter 9 and verse 5.
Hold on. Let me get there with you. Come on.
Sirach chapter 9 and verse 5.
Come on.
Gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her.
Right, so we would pull this scripture for brothers, right? Brothers would, hey, don't gaze on that woman. This goes for you sisters as well. Don't be lusting after these brothers. Because you gazing at the brother's feet. Bishop brings this out all the time. Leadership brings it out all the time. Why are you looking at that brother so much? Why are you gazing in his eye? Why are you looking right in his eyes? Don't get caught up in that. Read it again.
Gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her.
Okay, so we would use this for brothers, but this goes for you sisters as well. Don't get caught up in lust. Don't be caught up in gazing at these brothers, fantasizing about them. Next thing you know, hey brother, how you doing? Shalom. I was thinking about you. Next thing you know, he's in your house. Okay, so be mindful of that. From there,
can I just add to that?
Go ahead.
Just to, on top of that, Sirach 11:2. This goes into what Kat was explaining for the sisters.
Sirach chapter 11 verse 2. Commend not a man for his beauty, neither abhor a man for his outward appearance.
So a lot of times people look at that well-built body, his shoes, his physical attributes, and we kind of determine, well, that's the type of man you need, but you're also setting that bad example for those children that are around you. You gotta prove a friend.
Prove a friend, exactly. From there, give me, not too far, 11 and 29. Here we go. Sirach 11:29.
Sirach chapter 11 and verse 29. Bring not every man into thine house.
Come on.
For the deceitful man hath many trains.
Do you see that? So this goes for you single sisters. Bring not every man, meaning what? Don't allow every man into your life. Even your old baby daddy. Some of you sisters think we don't know. You're still entertaining that. We're not dumb up here. We hear it. We hear the stories from other schools as well, where mothers are still enticing their old baby fathers. They still in communication, and it leads to what? What'll happen? Oh, you know what? He already knows my body.
Right. Oh, you know what, Cap? They don't want to leave their unbelieving spouse.
There you go.
Because he's the father of their kids.
Come on.
They want security. They don't want to be a baby mama.
Right.
It's sisters that's going through that right now.
Yeah, we hear the stories.
Spouse don't believe. But because he's the father of my children, I don't want to leave him.
There's single sisters without children who still enticing their old boyfriends, people who they had connections with in the world, still dragging them along. Maybe I'm gonna send them a couple videos. Hopefully he'll change. And then still in communication, 3 o'clock in the morning and night, no one's around. Hey, you watch those videos? Now you can come over. Come on, we're gonna talk about these videos. She gonna bring her Bible. Of course, he ain't gonna bring his Bible. He's gonna bring a pocket full of condoms.
It happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. You still in communication with these ungodly brothers. Being a single sister, well, we're supposed to be watching out for your soul, but you still playing with Satan. You in the sandbox with Satan.
Yeah, so real quick. On the topic of smothering children, one thing you got to address is that you use your child to replace that relationship, that you should be showing your daughter an example of how to prove a husband. Training your son on how to be, how to handle himself in the world. You can actually use your child to replace that relationship that you should be seeking. Could you read Titus 2 again for the aged woman?
Titus chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands.
So that's the part, to love your husbands. Now, if you have a daughter, and now that daughter is taking on the role of companionship, that daughter is now, you're asking her to help you make decisions. That daughter has now become more of a companion than you being an aged woman to that daughter, so that when she become of age, she can pick the right attributes of a young man. That's the deep role you have as a mother, so that when that daughter or that son become of age, of a certain age, they can make conscious decisions about their own life. Keyword own life, because they're not supposed to be living your life. You have to let them go. You have to make sure that they are ready for the world, because the world is ready for them. It's ready for them, and if they're not ready, you have just destroyed those children.
And that goes also into being friends with your kids. Your kids are your friends.
Play this video. You got the video? You sent it to the group?
It's not video, it's an article.
No, the one with the mother.
Oh, yeah,
and even amongst the aged sisters dealing with the young sisters that ain't their kids, they still look at them as friends, having conversations like they go to school together. How you allow a young sister to even talk in the midst of your conversation? You talking to another aged woman who got kids, and a young sister able to interrupt your conversation, and you just laugh it off.
We couldn't do that.
You can't do that.
In my granny's house? Oh, no, you better not. Sheesh.
Can't do that. Or even walk in the room in the presence of elderly women and don't even announce yourself in the room.
Hey, but yeah, I've seen that we're at a point where grown women are talking and the young sisters are talking on the same level.
Same level.
I mean, having this, like she went through that same experience.
No, that is, officer, that's going back into that aged woman, and that's smothering. You so caught up on want to be liked. You don't want to correct because you'd rather be liked than having to correct somebody.
But Cap is going to play a video to show when you allow your daughter to become your friend, to become your companion, this is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happens. No respect. Child does not respect their parents. Play that video. I just posted it right now. There we go. We played this earlier for the first class. Yeah. A daughter fighting her mother. Look at the intensity that she has. Fighting her mother, laying hands on her mother. No fear, no fear, no respect. Read. I mean, go ahead, play it.
daddy. Look good. Yo. Where I say? Yo, daddy.
Watch, man.
Oh man.
This ought to watch, because I can't even fathom the thought of seeing that. I can't even do it. Let me get a scripture.
Go ahead.
2 Ezra 5 and 8. 2 Ezra 5 and 8. But you know what's crazy though, Cap? We don't like that right there. But a lot of us, if we don't change, that's what we're going to. Yeah. And it'll happen.
That's exactly right.
It will happen. You best believe it will happen. And nobody will help you. Except those that's keeping God's commandments. That's it. Because y'all see what they're doing? They're recording it. Who's stopping this demon? Who's stopping this happening? Nobody. Read that.
2nd Esdras, chapter 5 and verse 8. Come on. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again.
Come on.
And the wild beasts shall change their places.
The wild beasts shall change their places. It's talking about what's going on right now. Read.
And menstruous women,
what is it? And defiled women
shall bring forth monsters.
The Lord said in the last days, women gonna bring forth monsters. That's a monster right there. That's a monster. Why? It all stems from our sisters being defiled in their minds. Going right back into the smothering, going right back into your daughter's your friend. All of that fall right under the branch of defiled.
Give me Deuteronomy 21 and 18. This would have been the judgment right here. But you're laughing because I know this is the judgment. Deuteronomy 21. The Most High ain't playing. You think this is going to be going on in the kingdom? Let's read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son,
come on,
which will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother,
come on,
and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out unto the elders of his city.
Right, seeking counsel. This child don't want to listen, being very rebellious. Come on,
and unto the gate of his place, and they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious.
Stubborn and rebellious. Don't want to listen to no instruction. Come on.
He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones.
What they gonna do?
Stone him with stones.
What they supposed to do?
Stone him with stones.
I'm telling you.
Can I point something out real
I'm telling you. This would not be happening. That right there would not be happening.
Yeah, let me get on Sirach 30 and 12. Also look up the word cocker.
Yes, bring it up.
Sirach chapter 30 verse 12. Bow down his neck while he is
Sirach 30 verse 9. Sorry.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 9. Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he shall bring thee to heaviness.
So this is what we're seeing in this video. And this is a scripture that many mothers are afraid to apply. They tend to conquer their daughters, conquer their sons. That word conquer goes into pampering, indulging, making them your friend, making them your companion. You make them your equal. So that when it's time for correction, that daughter has a huge stick in her hand to say, nah, you're not correcting me. I'm going to correct you. You have conquered your child. Read verse 1, same chapter.
Verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
Mothers, you have to beat your children righteously. You have to spank them. You have to discipline your sons. You're not to be, oh, this is my baby. Oh, you know, no, you're not getting him ready. If you don't discipline him, the world is going to do it. And they usually do it with a gun, Jail time is something that usually leads to their death. And when you don't discipline your children, read on.
That he may have joy of him in the end. He that chasteth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
So you want to build your son up that you can, listen, the enemy look and see, listen, I cannot get to this young man. I cannot make him effeminate. I cannot get him to marry another nation. You have raised him up to be a strong, well-built Israelite. Even when you're single, you can do it because you have help. Right? You have help. You have men to assist you. But if you sit in the body and never seek help, you shelter your son. You put him in a position where he doesn't get that help. Or you shelter your daughter. You put her in a situation where she thinks she's your equal. You have just destroyed them. Read verse 11. Same chapter.
Verse 11. Give him no liberty in his youth.
Verse 10, sorry.
Verse 10. Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, unless thou gnash thy teeth in the end.
And that's what happened to us. That's what you're seeing.
Hey, the reason why it's so important you bring out about that smothering too is you don't want to get to the point of where you smother your son so much that when he does go around other boys, he now gets bullied. Why? Because the other little boys is acting like little boys, but he's acting like you. And he gets bullied to the point to where he don't even like being around men, and he grows up and finds that what you want to say, that solace in being around other soft-spoken, very timid people like him. And we all know where that leads to. There's a community right down in Miami for him that will accept his very soft-spoken, timid self because you smothered him so much, and when he get around regular boys, he don't act like a regular boy, so they bully him till he turns into you.
Speaking of that, pull up that picture. Cap just posted a picture.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it is.
Here's another sign of smothering. This is how you know it is gone too, and I couldn't even find the worst ones. I try to be, I try to keep it PG. Elijah's out here. Bring up the picture, man. Come on.
Where you at?
Just click on it. Yeah. So this is another way of smothering. Now, I didn't get the hood ratchet ones. I try to keep it, PG a little bit. Your son should not be dressing like you.
Bring it out.
Matching clothes.
Bring it out.
You might think it's cute, we're going to the park matching in the summer. No. He's learning how to dress like a woman.
Yeah.
And he's going to end up taking pictures like that. And so don't be dressing your sons like his clothes shouldn't match none of yours. It shouldn't no plaid matching shirts, none of that stuff. Nah. Get him his own clothes.
That's right. So hey, there's an article I posted in the group. Pull up that article. Okay, this was the article that motivated the whole class.
More than a mother, emotional incest in black culture.
Not that one. We'll get that one. Hold up. We're going to bring it up. Hold on. Get the first one. Go up.
This is it, right?
That's the article? Hold on. Go down. Yeah. Go down. Read that.
How it all starts. Emotionally smothering a child.
Hold on. Go up some. So we can read that thing, what it says.
That's the top of it?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay.
Right.
Emotionally smothering a child is the same as abandoning a child.
Come on.
All right, blog 12, how it all starts. Emotionally smothering a child is the same as abandoning a child. Find out why. I'll blow it up a little bit for me. If you find this information helpful, then please find... No, done.
Keep going down. Keep going down.
What do you want?
Go down.
Many years of flying?
Read that.
What is emotional smothering?
Okay. What is emotional smothering? Example 1. The first example, I always used to be explanation is initially quite subtle. Quite subtle. It then builds to more complex reasons as to why emotionally smothering a child is similar to abandoning a child. If a parent takes a child to a park to play, and the child wants to climb a tree, it is expected that the parent let go of their fears, irrespective of whether the child may or may not hurt itself. Normally, the parent will allow the child to explore and climb the tree, possibly with much caution and advice. If a child is still given permission to explore that tree, the child leaving the parent may run or walk away, and yet they may still first hesitate and glance back at the parent for reassurance.
Right, making sure everything's okay. Can I proceed? Go ahead.
And in an ideal situation, the parent will continue to encourage the child to be adventurous. In other words, the notion and expectation of parenting is to teach a child how to become a fully functioning and independent adult.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, this does not always happen.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, the needs of the parent sometimes gets in the way of a child being allowed to develop emotional independence. If a parent has never climbed a tree and lacks self-confidence, the child may pick up on the hesitation. This might stop the child from being adventurous, especially if it senses danger. Danger being not just about falling out of the tree and breaking a leg, but also the emotional danger or the emotional expectation of a parent.
You see that? So now that fear of the parent never experiencing that is on the child now. They are now fearful. Go ahead.
Climbing a tree with the possibility of breaking a leg can distress a cautious and timid parent. It, however, can also create anxiety in an overly possessive parent. If a child senses that the parent needs them to fully fulfill a gap in the parent's emotional life, they may soon realize that in order to keep the parent's love and praise, it is better to maintain the status quo. A dictionary explanation of the phrase status quo is in the state in which things were before the war. The child may learn that what is expected is to remain at mommy's side at all times.
You see that? They're not going nowhere. They'll run to mommy. They'll make sure they'll build their whole life around the mother. Read.
As this keeps friction within the family at bay, children are like sponges.
They're like what?
Sponges.
Absorbing everything. That means your emotions, they will absorb it. They will begin to mimic the same thing. Go ahead.
They absorb everything, and mostly it's the unspoken that gets ingested consciously and unconsciously.
The things that don't come out your mouth. That's the ones. Your actions is what they really begin to mimic. Go ahead.
They watch and they see the actions that speak louder than words. The child may sense that a parent might feel abandoned or rejected if they sense that the child is attempting to leave them in any way.
Don't go nowhere. You don't need to go there. That parent, especially my mom, she used to do the same thing. Watch out for that girl, because the next thing you know, you're back here again. So you don't need to move out. My mom used to tell me that. You don't need to move out. You got everything you need right here. You know what? Let me get those dirty clothes from you. Let me go wash them. What you mean? No, don't worry. You can have cable in your room. That's right. Don't worry. Let me go ahead and spend that money and get that AC unit in your room. Don't worry. Parents, I'm telling you, mothers would do that. Go ahead.
So the parent may get angry. This I also discussed in my previous blog with regards narcissism. Consequently, the child can start to feel stifled, resentful, and even angry if they begin to feel emotionally controlled or manipulated by a parent.
And then you get to that point, and now you got a bad relationship with your son or your daughter. Because you're smothering the son, like, man, get off me, mama. Dang, you always on me. And now that when the umbilical cord's cut, and then the tears roll down your eyes. He's 27, and you realize he don't need you no more.
or it can go the other way. The child becomes a mama's boy.
Yeah,
you got that.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The child may turn his anger inward. They may stop trying out new things. Their school life, their grades, their sport activity, as well as possible weight issues can be affected. They can just give up. A child can begin to lose its identity and self-confidence if they sense that they are there to please a parent.
You see that? They're there to please that parent. That parent now has taken the child to replace the absence of a spouse.
Read example 2. Get to example 2.
Example 2. The second example I use is when a parent uses a child as an emotional surrogate, substitute, husband, or wife.
There you go. There you go.
A child may be used as a substitute in one-parent families, or if either of the parents is frequently absent or emotionally unavailable.
You see that? So making it hard for you brothers. I know there's brothers that might want to marry a sister that has children, but if a sister's suffering from this and she hasn't dealt with it, what you think your odds are? Zero.
All right, 0.
Come on.
This could have varying consequences, from a child experiencing resentment, anger, claustrophobia, to becoming withdrawn, resigned, complaint, even depressed or emotionally numb. This anger could be directed at both parents, the parents that uses the child and the other for allowing it to happen in the first place.
Right. They will even sabotage. A sister could be proving a brother. She will deliberately sabotage the relationship so she can remain single with her child. This is not unheard of. We heard the stories. We heard the stories where a sister actually did that. I mean, there was no complaints, but when they started to get closer to that date for them to get together, she sabotaged the whole proving stage so she could go back to her single life. Her baby.
The likely result of smothering is that by the time the child is expected to leave home, it either can't, or if they do manage to leave, they run a mile to get away. In normal, healthy situations, the child would gradually leave and feel free to return home whenever necessary, depending on their financial situation, until they get married and create families of their own. Usually the smothered child would find cutting the umbilical cord very difficult, and becoming independent.
That's the crying. Go ahead.
And becoming independent would be just as difficult to achieve. If the parent has narcissistic tendencies, then leaving home would be excruciating for all involved. The child would feel guilty for abandoning the parent, whereas the parent, feeling rejected, may get very angry, and often they may resort to threats or further bullying in order to hang on emotionally to their child.
Hey, let me give you an example. Here's an example of not wanting to cut the umbilical cord, right? It was almost like you just brought out earlier, right? Every when you was with you growing up, every girl you talked to, right? Your mama never liked them.
Right.
Why? Why she never like? Well, she ain't never done that something right. That's because she wants you to eventually do away with them so you can come on back to mama.
Yep.
Oh, she tell me that all the time. Oh, I don't like her. What? You met her once.
Right.
Came over once. She was a threat to replacing me, and I don't want nobody to replace me. What are you talking about?
Oh, they never liked them until you got rid of them.
Yeah. Oh, you got rid of her?
That's when they cool.
She was a good girl.
That's when they cool down. Hey, but speaking on the article, right? Spoke to a brother a while ago. You know, the brother fell into depression because his mama didn't want to let him leave the house. Fell into depression.
There you go.
And then talked to the mama. You know, you gotta let the brother go. The mama said, if he goes, who am I gonna take care of?
See, that's why especially right there. There we go. You gotta be ready. These are real life situations. This is happening today. That's why we here. We doing this class so eventually, so our sisters could come up out of this. Use these tools we giving you so you can better yourself. And I'm telling you, Captain Gadd always said, there's no other school doing this. There's no other camp doing this. Where they're taking their time out and taking that time, not yelling out at the white man, not calling the white man the devil, but actually dealing with the core issues in our lives. Dealing with that problem that you don't want to touch. Go scroll down. I want to deal with this one right here. Scroll down. Right there.
The emotionally smothered child in relationship in adulthood.
Here we go.
The emotionally smothered child would find having relationships very difficult. Dealing with a possessive and jealous parent and having a relationship or even friends of their own would just incur more guilt. For those, however, who are able to wrench themselves from the family and snap the umbilical cord, the result is that they hardly, if at all, return home.
See that? They're gone. I'm done. I want to run away. That's the ninja smoke. I'm gone. You don't see me no more. Go ahead, read on.
This can be traumatic for parents and the child, causing isolation and loneliness. In other cases, a child may actually leave home, but if they But if they are still emotionally tied to the parent, they may feel tremendous guilt and disloyalty for leaving the parent.
Right.
A relationship or even marriage to someone else may feel like a betrayal.
Stop. So now what happens is, remember, that parent, that mother ran him off. So what you think that person do? That child is going to do the same thing. They're going to sabotage their relationship because that sense of guilt is in them. It was embedded in them since they were young. Remember, they absorbed it. It said they were like, children are like sponges. So that's exactly what you see going on. Now they're grown, they're adults, they're supposed to be in a healthy marriage, but what happens? Because of guilt, they feel like they betrayed that parent.
Right. And you know what else you hear a lot? You hear a lot when a mother's kids are grown and leave, they left me all alone. They feel some type of way that their kids are actually going off and being adults in society. They actually have their own lives and they feel some type of way about it. I'm gonna tell you straight, I can't wait for my kids to leave me alone. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be happy. Moving out party. I'm telling you, we're gonna have a party that day. And don't come back. Don't come back.
See, you know.
For those, where was it?
Plus any emotional demand.
Your betrayal.
Yeah. A relationship or even marriage to someone else may feel like a betrayal. Plus, any emotional demands made or asked of them from either the parent of their new partner would be difficult. It would remind them of the emotional smothering experience in childhood.
There you go. That means it would always be in the back of their mind.
There are many people who find giving emotionally to partners in adulthood really hard because so much was expected of them at home. This should not be underestimated.
So basically what they're saying is they get a spouse and they just shut down. They don't want to they don't want to do the things necessary with that spouse in the marriage because they don't want to feel like they either smothering the person or the person is smothering them. So they just, I'm just right here in my box. Meet me in the bedroom, cook me something to eat, and then that's it. You go your way, I go my way, you know.
Right, because remember, their loyalty is still to who? To mama. Right, so that's all I want from there. Let's go to the scriptures. Scriptures. Let's go. So, quick tip that I wrote down here, sisters, write it down. Write it down. Okay, write it down. Find other single mothers who are struggling just like you. Okay? Find other single mothers that are in this fight just like you. You have other single mothers who are going through a tough time. So try to, get a healthy network going on. You got other single mothers in here. You know them. All right? Go amongst them. Pick their brains. See what they're doing in their day-to-day to get by. Okay? That's something that you need to do. 1 Timothy 4 and 11. 1 Timothy 4 and 11. Can you let me know?
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 11. These things command and teach.
These things command and teach. Single parents, single mothers, this is something that you have to eventually teach your children. Come on.
Let no man despise thy youth.
Come on.
But be thou an example of the believers.
Be an example. Be an example. What kind of example? A good example. Possessing a good behavior. All right? Be an example, because remember, you're not in this by yourself. You are bound by the commandments no matter what condition you came in. Single, married, whatever the case may be. Remember, you are bound by these commandments. Let's move on.
In word, in conversation.
In word, in conversation. Come on.
In charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity.
In what?
In purity.
Come on.
Till I come. Give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine.
Do not stay idled. That's another defense. That's another tip. Don't be idled in this walk. As single parents, do not be idle. We're going to close it there. Probably do a part 2. New York is coming on, so I pray that you gleaned something from this class. All right, shalom.
The children of God. We are not black men, we are Israelites.
I'm a Jew, it sound odd. For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sound wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.